Hi, I'm Craig Rowland, founder of Sandfly Security. Today, we're going to talk about immutable process binaries on Linux and why they're almost always a threat. Now, an immutable flag on Linux is basically something that you could set on a system file in the file system that says essentially you cannot modify or delete whatever it is I have this bit set on. So, commonly on Linux, this is done to protect files against accidental deletion or modification. If the immutable flag is set on a file, even the root user cannot delete or modify that file until the flag is removed. And then at that point, they can do what they need to it. But for what we need to know today, malware often will set an immutable flag on a binary in order to protect itself from simple removal. Now, this is a pretty blunt tool. Typically, I only see it in low grade malware, but we have seen some more sophisticated malware use this tactic in order to hang around. But the main thing here to understand is that if you see a process binary running with an immutable flag, almost always it's going to be bad news. I've never once seen it used in a legitimate way. It can be done, I suppose, but most of the time it's bad news. So we're going to go over here to the Sandfly browser. And Sandfly is an agentless Linux endpoint detection and response product. We also do SSH key tracking, password auditing, and more. But for today, what we did is we scanned a Raspberry Pi because we work perfectly fine on embedded Linux systems. And on that system, we got two alerts. The two alerts for today that we're going to discuss is, first of all, we found a binary that was hidden under the bin directory that was marked as basically it's being hidden. We know that this is actually something we don't ever want to see. We discussed that in another video. But the main reason we're here is that we found a process binary called .config, and that process binary is marked here. Is this process name .config with PID 1884 is marked as immutable. Malware often marks this binaries as immutable so that they are harder to delete from the disk and can maintain persistence. Yep, that's pretty much what they do. Essentially, it's like I said, a very crude mechanism. It can actually prevent automated configuration management tools from removing the file, and maybe some admins out there who don't know anything about the immutable file. But the basic thing here to understand is that if you see a process binary running with an immutable flag, probably up to no good. Some of the raw data, if we go here to the raw results data, we can see information about that process. We got our command line here, this unusual flag. We can also go down here, we can see some of our flags set. So for instance, here, this immutable flag is set to true. So we know that this process is basically something that we need to investigate, which is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna go over to the screen terminal over here. The process was under user bin config. So first of all, the process PID is 1884. So we'll go to our proc directory, 1884. I'll do an LSAL here, and we're just going to list out kind of what we see here. And we see everything about this basic product process here. Current working directory, we see the exe here. I'll make a copy of that. And what we can do now is with this process exe path, I can now go and I can see everything about that file. User bin config, I can see here is made on December 29th. Assuming that they didn't timestamp this date would probably give you a pretty good indication about when the system might have been compromised. But there is a special command, a lot of admins might not know about it, and that's called lsattr, which is short for list attributes. And again, if we put in our process path here, we do an ls on it, we see here this flag here called I. That I essentially means immutable, which means that this file cannot be removed. Now you notice here, I'm the root user. I'm gonna try to delete that file, user bin.config, and let's watch what happens here when I do that. Oh, it says operation not permitted, right? So until that file is actually removed with the change attribute flag, it can't do anything. Now, how do you do that? We would basically do this. Change attribute -I for removing the immutable bit, and I would do it on my file. And again, now if I run my lsattr on it, I could see that my immutable flag is missing. And if I were to remove that file, which I don't recommend you doing, but for demonstration purposes, assuming that you copy the file and blah, blah, you're investigating the host, at this point now I can remove the file like normal. But if that immutable flag's set, you won't be able to do it. So basically, again, kind of a crude technique, but we do see it. And what's great about it is it's essentially the attackers are announcing with a huge red banner, I am malicious. If you see a process binary running with an immutable flag, virtually always it's going to be something that's going to be bad news, and you should investigate that host. So they're actually doing you a favor by marking it as immutable, believe it or not. And once you realize how to remove the flag and all that, it's actually a very simple thing to get around. So anyway, that's it on immutable process binaries. You shouldn't see them on Linux, and if you do, you got to look at them. handle like an incident response and move on from there. So I'm Craig Rowland from Sandfly Security. Thanks again for watching my video. Check out our channel for more short video topics just like this on Linux intrusion and detection and incident response. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment. Let you know what you like and dislike. Thanks again, and bye.